Vaidya Naveen Gupta. I would say Vaidya because that is the tradition of Ayurveda to address a person who is a physician, who is a doctor, surgeon, physician, doctor. Vaidya Naveen Gupta was born in Delhi, in India in 1960 and began studying Ayurveda at the age of 16 years, very young, and joined straight in an institution which is an iconic one for Ayurvedic studies in India called Ayurvedic and Unani Tibia College. He told me that it is started by Gandhi with good intentions of bringing all the knowledge of Unani and Ayurveda together. In the year 1983, he received his degree, and since then, he has been practicing for 4 decades. 2 decades in India, 2 decades in London, England. Vaidya Gupta is specialized in pulse diagnosis, marma points, and panchakarma. He has a deep interest in whole range of Vedic healing arts, science, technologies for achieving the highest quality of health and consciousness. The biggest difference between the Western medicine and Ayurveda in my past 3 years of acquaintance with dozens and dozens of Ayurvedic physicians is they take everything into consideration, your thoughts, consciousness, feelings, peace, rather than just your blood sugar level or some biochemical parameter. Dr. Gupta is available for consultations. These days, teleconsultations are also possible. We have brought several experts from various fields and different domains of health knowledge. For example, we heard Dr. Pasang Wangdu from the Tibetan medicine with the same thought of bringing various experts to you. Today, I present Vaidya Naveen Gupta from London addressing all of us.
Namaste, Dr. Rao. Namaste, everybody. And namaste to India home. And namaste to all seniors. So, Dr. Rao, at the opening, I would like to ask you, we are beginning at 3 o'clock now. So it's 3 o'clock UK time. Anyway, it should be 10 o'clock US time, if I understand you. So
Correct.
Please let me know what time you would like to wind up the session.
Our sessions are 1 hour slots because they have a full schedule.
Okay. So,
and just as you watched, the song ended almost close to 10 o'clock. So as you suggested in our conversation,
yes,
please give some introduction, and you said that you would engage directly with
yes,
the audience.
yes.
Please focus mostly on the food and other habits or other dinacharya or habits, I mean dinacharya, so that they will get benefited. And
Good.
all the consultations, they can definitely have your contacts and they can contact you directly. In this connected world, London is not too far.
Okay. Good. Very good. Thank you very much. So here I am, and I have already been introduced by Dr. Rao, so there is no point for me to talk further about it. And as I suggested to Dr. Rao that because he was asking me for a presentation, or I do have a presentation, but I, of late, I came to the conclusion, because I was teaching master classes of Ayurveda in the Netherlands. He mentioned about England for me last 2 decades, but in fact, I have yet to start my practice in England. So I moved out of Switzerland to UK, and I was practicing in all over Europe for last decades.
Sorry.
That was Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and then later on Switzerland. And then because of COVID issues, so we all family wanted to live under one roof. So we thought that the one roof should be the closest will be London in that case. So we moved to London. So that's how it is. Here I am. So of late, I was having 4 schools of, you can call it school or you can call it tutorials in Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and Switzerland. So in London, when I came, it was Corona, and then now the Corona is over. I'm starting in a very low profile. And recently, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who moved to Iowa in US, also from India, he moved to Netherlands, I think first, then Switzerland, then also to Iowa in US. And he was well known in US for many celebrities and also for Beatles. So I had my transcendental meditation initiation together with my wife in 1986. I got married in 1984, 1983, I graduated. And then together with my wife, we had initiation in transcendental meditation. So because of that and because of my Ayurveda, and now in London, I have been selected as a Maharshi Ayurveda Vaidya. So I'm practicing here, low profile, and this is how it is now. So let me come to the point that Dr. Rao has already suggested me to talk about the food. First of all, I must tell you that I know the habits of Indian people who have moved out of India, and I also know the availability of food items. It used to be when you were young, probably in States, when you moved out of India many years ago, or maybe you're born here. At that time, it was too difficult, but nowadays, the things are easily available. So I'll be able to use some Ayurvedic ingredients, so you can say spices. But I personally feel that on the food, the Indian are much ahead of the West in the food. And also, it is the closest to the Ayurveda food also, in one sense. We are all adapting to. So I can talk about the food. Then I will say that let me have this session as an interactive session where anybody can just raise the hand and anybody can just give me a question, and from that I can build up. Anyway, let me first that a question which is many times being asked is that from October to March in the West, when we are almost by low clouds and temperature reaches below 0 degrees Celsius, and in December, January, the day lasts at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. I don't know about US, but probably it will be the same. I had only one time experience of visiting US, and that was just for my son was working in Canada at that time, Toronto. So I just took a bus to New York and spent a few days in New York, Manhattan. So that's the only experience I have about States. And Manhattan is not, in fact, Manhattan is not the United States. So I don't have a living experience and shopping experience in States. So that's why I cannot tell more things about that. But since I lived in Switzerland and also in the mountains, also close to the lake, and also in Netherlands, Germany, so more or less we are living in the same atmosphere. So the people used to ask me that 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, then there are no fresh vegetables available. The nature totally sleeps. So what do you suggest from the Ayurvedic point of view to start our day or to do in this season? So let me come to you with a very good tea recipe to cope up in the winter season, because we are going to face this winter season until February or March in the beginning. In Europe, sometimes it is in April also. So let me start your day in the morning. If I had knew that I have to speak only about the food, so I'm a very good speaker on the Bhakti Ayurveda nutrition. I brought Bhakti into the nutrition, and we do have a Banki Bihari temple in our home. So we start our day with with giving bath to the god, and then changing the clothes, then put him on the swing, then make the food prasad, and then we start our day. So I could have started with that in the concept of Bhakti Ayurveda, but when I visited the website, I was a little bit not sure how many people from which religious beliefs or faiths are in this indiahome.org. So I better thought to be neutral, because it's my first session, and I hope it's not this last. And for me, I can do any sessions, any number of sessions in a year or whatever it is. So I'm not giving a clue also that please engage me for next session also. I'm not giving a clue also at the same time, but I'm available. And as and when the time comes, so I'm available and I can talk on. Let me give a brief to you so that your questions can come from that angle. So when we speak about the Ayurveda, we speak about the 5 elements. So the earth, water, air, fire, and ether, akasha. How? Let me speak from the bhakti angle. We all know Bhagavan. Bhagavan is translated as God. And in the West, when we spoke about the God, and they say that G stands for generator, O stands for observer, D stands for destructor. But when we go back to the beginning of the universe, either you call it Big Bang Theory or whatever it is, but what I believe is that Lord Brahma was the whole universe in himself. And Saraswati, the goddess, came in the mind of Brahma and said that, oh my Lord, what are you doing here? Just resting and occupying the whole space. So then Lord asked Saraswati, what should I do? So please create. So what should I create? So you create a living being, a conscious being, so that we can see how the conscious beings are living in this universe. And we can from the stillness too, we can have a dynamic universe. So the God said, so simple. So God multiplied himself. And multiplication happened in the 8.4 million species. That's why some of the seniors must be aware that we use all the time a terminology which is called 84 lakh yoni. 84 means 80 and 4. So 8.4 million yoni. By yoni, they meant the species. So 8.4 million yoni, that means from the insect to butterfly, to dog, to cat, to horse, to human beings, to dinosaurs. If you count human beings as one, then these are the 8.4 million yoni the God created. And the God created in this 8.4 million yoni so that these yonis could create again, recreate. So God created a feminine aspect and a masculine aspect. So feminine aspect in our mythology has been kept on a highest level. Then the masculine aspect. But the feminine should not come to the ego. So God has created that in such a way that feminine should not think of that she is the only one who can create, because she needs the he. Without he, she cannot create. So this is how the femininity and masculinity was created. And the human being is the highest evolution of 8.4 million. So in that case, you know that after that, what happened? God took the warm, the air in the mouth, the respiration. And when he took the respiration from his right nostril, this is how you will learn how the pranayama is. The right nostril is called Surya Nadi. So the sun, whenever you feel cold, God automatically stops your left nostril, because God wants you to breathe from your right nostril so that you can bring the heat inside. So this is a natural way. And we are putting a kind of a Vicks Vaporub to open our nose, which is not advisable at all from the Ayurvedic point of view, because God has stopped your left nose, because there was a body temperature which was declining. So God wanted you to have the balance of temperature. That's why God opened only the right one, the left one was closed. So God took the right breathing and brought it in the mouth, and then released, and then the sun was formed. In the same way, God took the breath from the left nostril, make a round in the mouth, and released, and the moon was formed. This is how the sun and moon has come into the existence by Lord Brahma. And then God drank some water and spit some water in the air. This is how the stars were created. And through this water, then the whole universe was created in such a way that Bhagavan, I will tell you, Bha stands for Bhumi. Bhumi means earth. Ga stands for Gagan. Gagan means Akasha, the sky. So I've covered two elements, earth element and the Akasha element. Why two elements first in the beginning? That is why we call Bhag. Bhag means also Yoni. That's why we say Bhagavan, Bhagavati. So Bha Bhumi, Ga Gagan, Va Vayu, A Agni, Na Neer. Bha Bhumi, earth, Ga Gagan, sky or space, Va Vayu, air, A Agni, the fire principle, Na Neer, the water principle. So the five elements are Bhagavan in itself. And out of these five elements, these are inert elements. When the consciousness enters into that, and universal mind enters into that, universal soul enters into that, that becomes the universal. And at the same time, these five elements which are in us, when the individual mind and individual soul will enter, so we become a conscious being. That's why in Srimad Bhagavad Gita it is said that the soul can never happen to have what it cannot happen. The God says in the sutra, Nanam chindanti shastram, nana dahati pavakaha, na apo kalidyanti, na maruta shushati. Means there is no weapon in the whole universe which can cut this soul. There is no air in the whole universe which can make it dry. There is no water in the whole universe which can dissolve it. And there is no fire in the whole universe which can burn it. So the soul is beyond all this. So nanam chindanti shastrani na dhati pavaka na apokalidanti na marute shushati. So this is how our five elemental body is formed. That is why our body, we should not consider our birth, because there is no point to consider the birth, because we are soul. We are just a tourist. We are making this journey on this planet. And our soul will remain, and we will come back. So the soul will need another body, and we'll take another body. And the beautiful point about human being is, out of 8.4 million, is that we will never go back to the lower yoni. If we come back, we'll come back again in the human. The only elevation for us will be Devata. And Devata is also, you can call it elevation, but you can call it also not elevation, because even Devata cannot be released from the birth and death. They cannot get the moksha. Only in the human form we can get the moksha. So the God gave Ayurveda at that time. And then for Ayurveda, God says, Dharmartha Kama Mokshanam Arogyam Moolam Uttamam. So we are born here, and we are making this journey here on this planet with 4 aims of life. The first aim of life is dharma. In dharma, they didn't call it faith, it's dharma. Dharma means the righteous conduct. In the righteous conduct, this food will come. Our food will come, our lifestyle will come. And then I will explain to you how it comes there. So dharma, artha. After accomplishing our dharma, so we have to earn our artha. Artha means we have to be part of the economic structure. Means we have to sustain ourselves. So that's why we do our job, our business, our profession. So this is artha. And now is the time for the kama, to enjoy. And after accomplishing all the 3 goals in the righteous way, righteous conduct, righteous profession, righteous earning, and righteous kama, enjoyment, then is the time for the moksha. So this is only human form can happen. Coming back to the 5 elements. So these 5 elements in our human physiology, they are representing as 3 bioenergy principles. Through those principles, our body functions. When we speak about the earth and water element, because they are heavy, so they form a bioenergy principle which is called kapha. When we speak about the air element and ether element, then it is vata. When we speak about the fire element, then there is pitta. I will tell you again something. The 3 things are carrying the whole universe: sun, moon, and wind. Without sun, the universe cannot exist. Without moon, the universe cannot exist. Without air, the universe cannot exist. And these 3 they carry the universe. In our human physiology, the sun is the pitta. The wind is the vata. And the moon is the kapha. In the daytime, we are always losing. We are not gaining. In the night time, we gain. That's why all the vegetables, all the greenery, everything on the universe grows in the night time. That is kapha. In the daytime, we need this energy to function. And these are we call them Trayo Stambha, 3 pillars. sun, moon, and wind. And these three pillars have three sub-pillars also. What are the three sub-pillars? The first sub-pillar is what Dr. Rao said, food. Food or drinks, the nutrition is the one sub-pillar out of the three pillars. And the second sub-pillar, you will be very surprised to know, that is nidra, sleep. Sleep is the second sub-pillar. I used to say when the mobile handset came into the existence, then we have to charge it. Then I used to give an example which might not be relevant today because it's too old. Mobile is not a new thing now. I used to say that like like when your phone is discharged, what you're doing, you charge it. So the sleep is when you function in the day, you feel discharged. And after you get a good night's sleep, you get charged again. So sleep is like a charging system. So the first one is food, the second one is sleep, and third is the sexuality. Sexuality is the conduct, how we conduct our sexuality. How do we see our sexuality? Sexuality is not, don't misunderstand me when I use the word sexuality, that we just fix ourselves to a meeting of feminine and masculine. I'm talking, in fact, sexuality is also within oneself, because as a man, I also have the femininity in me. The left side of me is femininity. The right side of me is masculinity. So that is why in Ayurveda or in our mythology, you might have seen a picture of Lord Shiva with the Parvati in half form. You might have seen it. Otherwise, just Google it. It is, I will give a very good, if in a chat box, I will write it. This is called Ardha. Ardha means half. Nari means feminine. Natta, that means masculine. Ishvara. So Ardha Nari Nateshvara. That will be the meaning, that God is in the half masculine form and half feminine form. And you will always see the two animals with that. You will see a cow and a lion. That's also representing the masculine femininity. So Ardhanari Nateshwara. So we all are basically, the sexuality means our femininity and masculinity together, and power of recreation, regeneration. This is what God has given, because the cycle must go on. So that's why we have the recreation. So this is how the Ayurveda thinks about Trayo Upastambha, Ahar, Nidra, and Brahmacharya, or you can say Abrahmacharya. So that is sexuality. So these are the three sub-pillars of health. If any of the sub-pillars of health is not good, so then you are not enjoying the health. Now let us come to the definition of health, which if you might have gone through a few days ago, our honorable, our respected Prime Minister of India, he was addressing, I think he was addressing a World Ayurveda Congress in Goa. And then I was so surprised that our Prime Minister mentioned a Sanskrit verse from Ayurveda. So then I was really surprised how this beautiful man is. He's entering into our Ayurveda also. So I was having a threat from Prime Minister Modi that if he, because maybe next time he becomes my competitor, because he was speaking so good Sanskrit and the definition of health, which we Ayurvedic physicians are used to speak. So he can do marvelous in politics and everything, every sphere. And he said that, and then I'm repeating this definition of health. Samadosha samagnischa samadhatu samamalkriya. Means our dosha, vata, pitta, kapha, our bioenergy, if they are in balanced form, this is the first requirement of health. Samadhatu. All the tissues in the body are in the balanced form. What are the tissues? Lymphatic tissue, the blood, the muscular system, the adipose system, fat. Don't go for this story about cholesterol, ghee. These industrial things or pharmaceutical things, they will keep on changing their values. And Dr. Rao was saying something you were mentioning about your something, I don't know what you mentioned, Dr. Rao. You were mentioning about something like numbers or blood pressure. What we were mentioning about? Something?
Yeah, blood sugar numbers, blood pressure
number.
numbers.
You are mentioning about the blood sugar number. You know that industry will keep on changing their system. They will say that when the sales of the medicine, one medicine particular, will go down, so they will also make the value of the blood sugar down, so that many people come under the diabetic category according to that protocol. So pharmaceutical system, so if I understand correctly from my brother-in-law, who is professor in Missouri, professor of cardiology, and my sister is psychiatrist in Missouri, Columbia. So if I go through that, 140, 150 blood pressure is also good. But then they come to 120. So basically, don't go for this mathematical value. Go for your inner values. And some dosha samagnisha samadhatu. So basically, you should have a good fat tissue also. Because if you will not have the good fat tissue, you will feel cold. Because fat is thermogenic. It balances. We need fat. We don't need bad fat, but we need fat. So that's why we said balanced adipose tissue, fat tissue. Ras, lymphatic, rakta, blood, mamsa, the muscular, meda, the fat, asthi, the bone. The bone tissue must be in health. Bone tissue is not just the bone. It is also the calcium, vitamin D3, and all this. And that must be in good health. Then bone marrow. What is inside the bone, which forms the blood. That should be in good health. Then finally, our shukra, the semen of a male and the reproductive tissue of a female should be in balance. So the all 7 tissue must be in balance. Samadosha, samadhatu, samagni. The fire must be in balance. And there are 13 types of fire in the body. Sorry. So the principal fire in the body is our gastric fire. Somebody was asking me that the birds in the morning, you know, you start waking up when you hear the birds. And then you think that birds are singing or birds are making this. In fact, there is a pitta in the throat of the birds also in us that falls on the stomach, and that generates so much heat. So she just runs to find the food. And that's a cry we hear in the morning. That's what we see as chirping, that's a cry, because she just runs for the food. So that's our gastric fire. If your gastric fire is good, you're healthy. Appetite is good, you're healthy. So this is the Agni. Sam dosha, sam agnischa, sam dhatu, sam malkriya. Some malkriya means whenever you take the food, drinks, they go for selection and rejection. Something out of your food, which are some food, drinks, and also emotions, they will go to a digestive process. And through that process, you will have a selection and rejection. Something will be selected for your body to grow, and something will be rejected. So in the form of stool, in the form of flatus, in the form of urine, in the form of some kind of fat here, some kind of fat in the navel, some kind of fat in the ears, some kind of fat in the vaginal and penis. So all these are mala. So sama malakriya. And then the next one is the most beautiful one. Prasanna Atmendriya Manaha. When the Atma, the soul, Indriya, the sense organs, Mana, the mind, is prasanna, is in happy state, then it is health. That's why we give definition of health to Ayurveda is health, happiness, and harmony of body, mind, and soul. That is the correct definition of health. Since I have taken already 36 minutes now, I am opening the session for the next 24 minutes for any question which might arise from my talk or which has nothing to do with my talk. Anything can be asked to me. And if I know then I will answer those questions. So Dr. Rao, please open the session for an interactive session or any question session, please.
Yes, normally Geeta ji is in charge. I'm only a driver.
So you are a driver. But driver is a navigation. Who has the navigation system?
That's true.
Nice, Naveen ji. Yes, I think Usha auntie ji. Usha auntie, you have any question? Like I saw you unmuted.
Oh, but I am not the Usha, I am Bharat here.
Yes, Bharat uncle ji. Sorry.
Bharat ji, Bharat Shah.
Bharat
Shah ji, आप वो भरत शाह तो नहीं है जो फिल्में बनाते हैं?
हाँ, उसका भाई समझ लो, वो डायमंड मर्चेंट भी है और पिक्चर भी
भरत शाह फिल्में बनाते हैं ना? हाँ.
या और डायमंड मर्चेंट भी है. बड़ा.
हाँ, वो तो है क्योंकि मैं बेल्जियम में रहता हूँ ना सर में, तो मुझे तो पता ही है. एंटवर्प में है वो लोग. एंटवर्प में मेरा घर है एक अभी.
नहीं, मैं तो ऑर्डिनरी है इधर न्यूयॉर्क में. आई वर्क 30 years in the pharmaceutical company, Merck and Sap and Do, and we are manufacturing vitamin B12. And I was in charge of the vitamin B12 plant and looked after that for 30 years. After that, we came here. But what I want to tell you that I have the cough prakriti. And we carry out some cough prakriti. You say Vayu, Pitta, and cough.
Yes, very good.
So I have the cough prakriti. I have the cough. Means whenever you get up, you get the cough in the morning from last 7 to 8 years.
But Mr. Shah, you have this cough from your childhood.
Yeah.
And then it is your cough prakriti. If you don't have it from childhood, then it is not your prakriti, then it is vikrati. But now you are right, it is your prakriti.
Yeah. And the second, I until now, I am in US for 20 years. I rarely use medicine. Until now, I don't have headache, don't have temperature, and I never use any allopathic medicine. Only I use when I get the cough, when I just came from India, and I get the what we call jet lag, and I don't get the sleep. I get up early in the morning, 4:30 from last 3 days. But whenever I get the stuff or anything, I use the Sudarshan Ganvati. That is the Jandu. And whenever I take the Ganvati in the morning, after 5 hours, whole day it will be clear, no problem. I never use any allopathy medicine about the cough and the thing. Even only thing I use for the blood pressure, I have only blood pressure, I use the allopathy. And what you say, the pharmaceutical company, they are calculating. So last you can see A1C from 6.2, now they came to 5.6. So every time they decrease and some doctor they start the medicine. What I mean to say, you explain everything good in this way of the spirituality to the Ayurveda, that both are connected.
Thank
And
you.
you explained very well from spirituality to Ayurveda. And I know that nowadays the motivational speaker, they speak on the Bhagavad Gita and they come to the, that is the Sanjay Raval and there are so many Mukesh Khanna and all. They go on the Bhagavad Gita and they explain at present, what system you have to follow. So the way you explain, you are a good orator and you explain. It's really, and until now I follow the Ayurveda only. I mostly in the morning, I get up, I start my day with the warm water, about 500 ml. Don't brush or anything, I take with this. And then I only take the brush and all. And means completely I am dependent upon the Ayurveda. And the way you explain, I am very happy. And I know that at present, if in the future, the people will go up the Ayurveda and vegetarian, if you encourage them to, instead of allopathy, you give them to Ayurveda, so people will come with the Ayurveda and the vegetarian food. Thank you for that.
So,
Bharatji, I will ask him what, I'm sorry, what does he take for the cough in the morning?
Then let me explain. So
Okay.
because I got him, so I will, I'm thinking to bring to the larger audience this same thing. So you say,
Okay.
actually he talks about Prakriti, which he might have seen because of the mucus he has in the morning. So he says that I'm Kapha Prakriti, which has to be verified by pulse diagnosis. That's one thing. Second thing is that he said that he was working in vitamin B12 industry for the last 30 years, and he's not taking any allopathic medicine apart from some blood pressure medicine. And then he mentioned about glycosylated hemoglobin values, which they have decreased from 6 point something to 5.7 now. So then more and more people will come into the category of diabetes. So, but that is the, actually, then I try to bring Srimad Bhagavad Gita again here, and I also address to the Dr. Rao's point of view also. Dr. Rao, incidentally, we also fell prey to the Western world, into the Ayurvedic medicine. So that's why we had our institutional training. In fact, it has nothing to do with institutional training, because Ayurveda is a conscious text. Like Srimad Bhagavad Gita is a conscious, and any other text what you see in the world is a static text. It will not change. What you read today, you will read tomorrow the same thing. But in Ayurveda, what you will read today, tomorrow the definition will change according to your consciousness. This is how the Bhagavad Gita is. You read Bhagavad Gita in one time, and second time you will not read Bhagavad Gita in the same consciousness what you read for the first time, because you will grow with your consciousness with Bhagavad Gita. And I must say to Mr. Shah's point of view about the vegetarianism also will come to. And so Bhagavad Gita, the first verse starts with dharam. Dharam kshetre kuru kshetre samveta yujusvaha mamka pandavastvai kim kurvata sanjaya. That is dharam. And the last word is ma. So the whole dharam is between the Bhagavad Gita. This is one thing. And the second thing you said about vegetarian, there is no question to talk about it because we have the principle of live and let live. We have that principle, live and let live. When we live and we see every creation of the God to let live, then there is no question of non-vegetarian food. So we all are born vegetarian, and God has not made our intestine, the length of the intestine is not enough for the non-vegetarian food. And next thing is that one of my good friends said, and it is written also in one of the book, that my stomach or my intestines are not the graveyard. So why should I bring the dead people or dead animal into my, it's not a graveyard. So if something is dead, so bring it to graveyard, not to my stomach. Because I want to eat the conscious food. So there is a definitely, it is, and also if you go higher in the concept that the first food, our grandmother, if you go back to they were not following any recipe because they were busy doing the mantras in the morning when they were cooking. And the last ingredient in that food, they used to put the love, which you see any website in the whole world about the cooking, you will see the beautiful recipes from the learned people, but where is the love?
Love.
So that's why we love the food of our mother. Even she cooks good or not good, that doesn't matter. But why we love our mother's food is because that food contains the love. Because when she's cooking this food, you are in her mind and she's praying to the God at that time. So that's why the food is compatible to you. And that too, the first portion, now you will go open any, Dr. Rao, if you open any YouTube program or something, all the best cooks in the world, which are the worst cooks for me, so they can call themselves best, they can enjoy their best, and then they can think about that. What they do, whenever they are cooking, they are tasting their own food. My goodness, it is never allowed in Ayurveda. Because when you finish with the food, a portion of that food first must go to the God. That's why in our tradition, the पहली रोटी जो बनती है sweet, वो रोटी जो है पहले जाती है काऊ को, गाय को जाती है, और आखिरी जो ग्रास बच जाता है वो जाता है कुत्ते को. हाँ, तो आखिरी बचा हुआ खाना, तभी तो कहते हैं ना, यहाँ पे हॉल में हम लोग कहते थे जब खाना खाने जाते हैं रेस्टोरेंट में, तो थोड़ा खाना बच जाता है ना, तो उसको बोलते हैं कि प्लीज पैक इट फॉर डॉगी बैग. So the waiters should pack it as a doggy bag. So because we are not going to reheat the food. And Dr. Rao, if somebody asks me a question which somebody has not asked, but let me say a question.
Yeah, I have a question.
From their mouth, I put a question to me, and then I will answer your question.
I have a question.
What is the one good cause for cancer in this whole universe? One cause. If we say one cause, we can say second, third, many causes. One cause is, I can tell you, Dr. Rao, reheating the food again. When you have your food, when you reheat it, that is the first cause of cancer. So now, Dr. Rao, I am open to your question, please.
You mentioned about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and you said that sun, moon, and wind, they are important for our existence.
Yes.
Sun, there is no doubt, we all know. Wind, we don't definitely know. Can you please elaborate and explain why moon is important? Because moon has a big thing on our health. And
so when I finish this question answer, so please tell to Geeta ji that please arrange one session for me only on the moon and the gynecology or the obstetrics or the femininity. So
Sure.
moon represents the femininity in the world.
I see.
Moon brings a balance of temperature in the world. Moon is responsible for the growth of anything. Sun is responsible for transformation. You know that when you put a seed in the ground and a little sapling comes out of the ground, that happens because of the moon.
I
That
see.
sapling, yes. And the growth will also happen. Transformation will be happening because of the sun. And the wind principle is responsible for motion and emotion, because this sapling will absorb some water from the ground and that will come into the sapling. So that is because of the pressure or something like vata, vayu. So our motion and our emotions are all depend on the vata. That's why vata is our nervous system, pitta is our digestive and metabolic system, and kapha is our growth system, secretion system. Our hormones, our internal secretion like thyroid. So these are all endocrine system or secretions are the kapha. So vat, pit, kaph, they are three in human physiology. But Mr. Shah, I have translated this vat, pit, kaph into Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. I have translated that into Rishi, Devata, and Chandas. I give you an example. In fact, my topic was that today. So that's why, but Dr. Ram, I had to respect him because he is the one. Satyam is Sat. Shivam is Ananda. And Sundaram is Chitta. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram is Sat, Chitta, Anand, Sachidananda.
No, before I want to tell you one thing. The moon have the effect on the water. See, भरती और ओट आता है दरिया में because of the moon. The waves come in the sea because of the moon.
Exactly.
The full moon is there. That's the same way. The moon is affect our brain or body also.
You see, Dr. Rao and Mr. Shah, हमने भी फेमिनिन की बात की. लेडीज को जो मंथली साइकिल होता है, मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल, वो मून से होता है. तभी तो कहते हैं ना, लेडी के मूड को कोई समझ नहीं पाया दुनिया में, भगवान भी नहीं समझ सकते. क्योंकि वो जो हार्मोन सिस्टम है ना, उसको कोई समझ ही नहीं पाएगा. वो मून से चलता है. टाइड ऑफ द ओशन मून से चलता है. मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल मून से चलता है. भगवान ने जो मंथ बनाए हैं मास, वो मून से मंथ बना है. What we know as month, but the only thing is that it is unfortunate that we are following the sun calendar. In fact, we should have followed the moon calendar. And in भारत में तो अभी भी 6 ऋतुएं हैं. अभी वेस्ट में हम 4 सीजन देखते हैं, भारत में 6 ऋतुएं हैं. ग्रीष्म, वर्षा, शरद, हेमंत, शिशिर, वसंत. ये 6 ऋतु, 6 सीजन, एक सीजन के 2 मास होते हैं. पो, माह, फागुन, चैत, जेठ, वैशाख, ऐसा करके पूरे 12 मास की व्यवस्था है. सो 1 season is equal to 2 months. In the West, we know as 4 seasons, so we say 3 months. But it is not.
Correct.
So month has come from that. And month has also 2 fortnights. One is growing moon and one is falling moon. And that is why गीता जी, अगली बार आप ये प्रोग्राम रखिए. आप गीता जी हिंदी बोलती हैं?
हाँ जी, बोलती हूँ.
अच्छा, तो देखिए, जब मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल होती है ना, देखो जब यूट्रस अपने आप को प्रिपेयर करता है गर्भ के आने के लिए, तो एंडोमीट्रियम बनती चली जाती है, बढ़ती चली जाती है, तो वो एक एंडोमीट्रियल फेस होता है। तो जब उसको 15 दिन 14 दिन हो जाएंगे तो वो फुल ओवुलेशन में आ जाता है, तो हो जाती है पूर्णिमा, फुल मून हो जाता है। तो जब फुल मून पे अगर प्रेगनेंसी ना हो तो वो जो एंडोमेट्रियल फेस बनता है वो सिक्रेटरी फेस में तब्दील हो जाता है, और धीरे धीरे करके वो लेयर स्प्रेड हो जाती है। फिर उसके बाद वो मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल मेंस्ट्रुएशन के रूप में बाहर आती है, उसको कहते हैं ब्लैक नाइट। सो एक हुई पूर्णमासी, एक हुई अमावस्या। तो ये टाइड ऑफ द ओशन और वुमेन की फिजियोलॉजी और मून, ये तीनों का एक संबंध है। हम किसी और दिन इसके बारे में पूरी एक चर्चा कर सकते हैं।
Sure. We have another question, Dr. J. How to treat with medicine or food? She has some problem with the white mucus in the morning.
White mucus in the morning, white mucus where? In the mouth or in the vagina? What she's talking about?
The mouth, nose and mouth.
Nose and mouth, white mucus in the nose and mouth. So देखिए माता जी, बहन जी, अगर आपको ऐसे व्हाइट म्यूकस इन दी है तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आपका जो कफ है वो आपका बिगड़ गया है, वो एग्रावेट हो गया है। तो एक तो आप सोने से पहले करीब आधा पौना घंटा पहले या 1 घंटा पहले 1 कप गर्म पानी का पी लीजिए। और गर्म पानी पीने से भी ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा कि आप अगर अदरक का पानी पी लीजिए, गर्म अदरक का पानी। तो उसके लिए मैं आपको एक टिप देता हूं, एक चाय, और फिर दिन में उठने के बाद फिर एक चाय बनाइए आप। 1 लीटर पानी लीजिए, उसको एक पतीले में उबालो। Should I speak in English or Hindi? English.
Both are good.
Hindi.
So Hindi. So I will do both together. Take a thick bottom pan, एक मोटे तले का पैन को लीजिए भिगोने को, और उसमें 1 लीटर पानी, साधारण पानी डाल दीजिए। उसके बाद उसको उबालने के लिए रख दीजिए मध्यम आंच पे, मीडियम फायर पे। देन you grate ginger 1 सेंटीमीटर, फ्रेश जिंजर। अगर ऑर्गेनिक जिंजर लेंगे तो अच्छी रहेगी, और चाइना की अरेबिक लेंगे तो फिर आपको 2-3 सेंटीमीटर लेनी पड़ेगी। अगर ऑर्गेनिक ले लेंगे तो 1 सेंटीमीटर ही बहुत रहेगी। तो उसको ग्रेट करके पानी में डाल दीजिए, और उसमें 1 क्लोव, लौंग, और 1-2 सेंटीमीटर का दालचीनी, सिनेमन का पीस डाल दीजिए। अगर आपके पास छोटी इलायची है हरी वाली तो 1 इलायची डाल दीजिए। अगर बड़ी इलायची भी है तो 1 बड़ी इलायची डाल दीजिए। दोनों में थोड़ा सा उसको छेद कर दीजिएगा ताकि पानी में उबल के उसमें पानी जाता रहे। तो जब सब कुछ तैयार हो जाए वो अंत में थोड़ा सा उसमें अजवाइन डाल दीजिए, कैरावे सीड्स। और ऐसा करके फिर आप 1 बॉयल, उसको 2-3 बॉयल आने दीजिए, फिर ठंडा करके उसको फिर गरम गरम उसको फिल्टर करके थर्मस में डाल दीजिए। तो सुबह जब उठ के आपको ऐसे करके आएगा तो उसके बाद दिनचर्या के बाद ये वाले चाय पानी के रूप में आप पीजिए, चाय के रूप में। आप देखेंगे कि अगले दिन आपको कफ कम हो जाएगा। हो सकता है शायद आप 1 हफ्ते में ठीक ही हो जाए। सो मैंने आपको ये चाय का नुस्खा दिया, इसको अच्छी तरह से बना लें, और इसमें कुछ ऊपर नीचे करना हो तो कर सकते हैं। तो इस चाय के नुस्खे से ही आप ठीक हो जाएंगे।
But we don't put tea leaves in it, just the water, right?
टी लीव्स मैंने निकाले, हम टी लीव तो नहीं बोला। हाँ, उसको सॉरी अबाउट दैट कि मैंने चाय वर्ड यूज कर लिया। हम उसको बोलते हैं फांट, और
ठीक
कुआ ऐसा करके बोलते हैं, तो हमने चाय यूज कर लिया, तो इसका मतलब ये था। पर अगर चाहें आप तो ग्रीन टी लीफ ले सकती हैं टेस्ट आने के लिए, लेकिन ये वाली चाय बना के देखेंगे तो बहुत अच्छी लगेगी आपको। हमने इलायची डाल दी इसके अंदर, आपको अच्छी लगेगी, यू विल लव इट। हाँ, शहद
ठीक
मत
है,
डालिएगा
थैंक यू।
इसमें बस, और ठंडा हो जाए तो शहद भी डाल सकते हैं, तो आपको चाय ये अच्छी लगेगी आपको पानी, इससे आपका बिल्कुल कफ वफ सब ठीक हो जाएगा।
थैंक यू, धन्यवाद।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी। और बताइए जी।
Can we add honey to that?
हनी,
Yeah.
देखिए हनी का क्या है, इफ यू वांट टू ऐड हनी, देयर इज अ प्रिंसिपल बिहाइंड इट, देन सर्व योरसेल्फ 2 cups टुगेदर। तो पहले एक कप को पी लो आप आराम से, दूसरे कप को ढको मत, डोंट पुट ए लिड ऑन इट। सो पहले कप से क्या होगा कि आपका बॉडी टेम्परेचर बढ़ जाएगा, और दूसरा कप थोड़ा ठंडा हो जाएगा। अब दूसरे कप में आप हनी डाल सकते हो, तो क्योंकि आपका बॉडी, क्योंकि हनी का मतलब हुआ कि हनी आपके बॉडी टेम्परेचर से ऊपर नहीं जा सकता, उसको बॉडी टेम्परेचर पे रहना है। और उसके साथ फिर एक चीज को और देखना पड़ेगा कि अगर आपने वो चाय बना ली और हनी की वाली ले ली, पर अगर आपने 2 पराठे बनवा लिए, उसमें बहुत घी लग गया तो वो भी ठीक नहीं है क्योंकि हम हनी और घी का कॉम्बिनेशन नहीं करेंगे। तो इसलिए हनी की चाय ले सकते हैं सुबह आप, लेकिन उसको थोड़ा नाश्ते से अलग करके लीजिएगा। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन?
Yes, acidity. I get lot of acidity. I can't eat spices much, but chilies bilkul nahi. But I get lot of acidity. Like after eating food.
एसिडिटी के 2 मतलब हैं। एसिडिटी 2 प्रकार से कह सकते हैं हम। सब लोग जानते हैं एसिडिटी को, जो आपने भी पूछा तो वो सब स्टमक की एसिडिटी के बारे में पूछा। उससे भी ज्यादा खतरनाक होती है जब सारे ब्लड में एसिडिटी हो जाए, उसको बोलते हैं अम्लत्व। अभी आपको हाइपर एसिडिटी ऑफ द स्टमक है, या उसमें रिफ्लक्स एसोफेजाइटिस,
Stomach with reflux, like you feel.
हाँ रिफ्लक्स है ना आपको।
burn. Yes.
हाँ जी, तो उसके लिए ऐसा करते हैं जी हम आपके लिए, उसके लिए हम आपको एक चूर्ण आता है, जैसे उन्होंने महा सुदर्शन घनवटी का नाम लिया था, एक चूर्ण आता है, उसका नाम है अविपत्तिकर चूर्ण। मैं इस पे लिख के देता हूं और बड़े आराम से मिल जाता है। और अविपत्तिकर चूर्ण। आपको कॉन्स्टिपेशन भी रहता है क्या?
नहीं, अभी नहीं है, पहले होता था, अभी नहीं है, अभी बहुत सालों से नहीं है।
हाँ, लेकिन कॉन्स्टिपेशन इसलिए होता था आपको,
पहले था प्लीज, AVITA।
नहीं वो तो लिख के दे रहा हूँ ना।
हाँ जी, अच्छा जी, थैंक यू।
मैंने चेक पे लिख दिया अविपत्तिकर चूर्ण।
ओके ओके।
अगर आपको नहीं मिले तो राव साहब से मेरा ईमेल एड्रेस ले लीजिएगा, मैं अभी लिख भी देता हूँ उस पे, तो मुझे आप फिर मैं इसको फार्मूला बता दूंगा आपको, तो आप घर में भी बना सकती हैं।
ओके,
जितना सामान आपको मिल पाएगा उतने सामान से बना लेना।
Sure.
कब के लिए आपने कौन सा बता?
Please.
आई एम गोइंग टू इंडिया इन अ वीक्स टाइम, तो मैं सारा सामान वहां से भी खरीदूंगी, इफ आई कैन नो द लिस्ट एटलीस्ट।
एक बात बताए थे इंडिया के बारे में, इंडिया वो नहीं है जो आप छोड़ के आए थे, आधा नकली हो गया। जो आप इंडिया छोड़ के आए थे वो इंडिया नहीं है।
मुझे पता है, मैं जाती हूँ।
आधा नकली हो गया, आधा नकली हो गया है, तो असली नकली का दिमाग आपको लगाना पड़ेगा।
ओके।
लौकी में कहाँ जाना है आपने, वो सब डिपेंड करे कहाँ जाना है कहाँ नहीं जाना।
बॉम्बे, मुंबई।
हाँ, मुंबई में तो 75% नकली है।
एक्सक्यूज मी,
ओके, यहाँ से खरीदूंगी।
लौकी का पानी पी सकते हैं नहीं? लौकी का पानी पी सकते हैं?
देखिए लौकी को पहले तो आप उसको छील के, धो के, काट के, भिगो के रखें, फिर उसको उसी पानी में उबाल लें। लेकिन लौकी का जूस मत बना के पीजिएगा, मत बना के पीजिए।
ओके,
क्योंकि वो लौकी जो है आपको बायो ऑर्गेनिक तो मिलेगी नहीं।
सही बात है।
वो मिलेगी $2 की, $3 की एक वो सफेद कागज में लिपटी हुई मिलेगी लौकी आपको। जो हमारे यहाँ मिलती है ना। तो वो उसका कोई गारंटी तो है नहीं, उसमें क्या क्या केमिकल डल के क्या क्या कैसे उसको प्रोसेस हो गया है। तो उसको धो के अच्छी तरह से उसको उबाल के पानी में, तब उसका पानी पी सकते हैं आप। लौकी से ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा पेठा।
पेठा, ओ या।
हाँ, और अगर आपको मीठे का शौक है तो एक पेठे की मिठाई आती है हमारे यहाँ पे,
या।
तो उस पेठे की मिठाई को लाके और उसको नलका खोल के पानी से उसका मीठा निकाल देना, वो पेठे की मिठाई खा लेना, उससे आपका पित्त खत्म हो जाएगा।
दूसरा एक जो व्हाइट पंपकिन है वो भी खा सकते हैं ना हम?
वही तो बोला मैंने, पंपकिन
वही तो है,
पेठा
हाँ।
पेठा वही तो बोला।
ओके ओके।
ये पेठे की मिठाई जो खाते थे हम, वो पित्त को कम करती है, लेकिन उस समय डालते थे चीनी अच्छी वाली। आजकल चीनी में रिफाइंड शुगर आ गई है ना, इसलिए सब चीजें इंडस्ट्रियलाइज हो गई हैं, तो इसलिए उसको धोने को कहा हमने।
और कबेज का पानी पी सकते हैं?
देखो मेरे हिसाब से तो पानी कोई ना पियो आप, उबाल के सब कैबेज को उबालो, सब्जी बना के खाओ।
डॉक्टर नवीन, उन्होंने कौन सी कफ के लिए कौन सी देसी दवाई बताई थी आयुर्वेदिक?
आपको लिख के दिए चेक बॉक्स पे मैंने।
मैं पता नहीं मिस कर गई, क्या आप बताएंगे?
आपको मिल जाएगी चैट बॉक्स पे, अगर आप तो ओपन है अभी, चैट बॉक्स पे लिखी हुई है अभी।
Yes, sir. Dr. Naveen ji, Aunty ji, like you guys can send the questions to me. We will get back the answers with Naveen ji. आप लोगों को भेज देंगे, जिसने भी लिखा है। आपका जो भी क्वेश्चंस है लाइक हम मुझे भेज दीजिए और लाइक ईमेल कर दीजिए डॉक्टर नवीन जी को. You will get the answers. Yes,
तो
it's already 11:05.
मुझे एक ईमेल कर देना डॉक्टर राव से लेके, तो मैं जो चैट बॉक्स है उसको कॉपी करके इसको भी भेज दूंगा आपको मैं।
Right. Thank you, Dr. Naveen ji. I know like we are over time. We are taking too much of your time. So please, जिसको भी कुछ भी क्वेश्चन है, प्लीज मुझे भेज दीजिए. मैं वो पूरा क्वेश्चंस फ्रेम करके डॉक्टर नवीन जी को भेज देंगे. He'll write an answer, like आप लोगों को भेज देंगे.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Naveen ji, like for
Thank
coming
you,
to
thank you.
India.
Thank you very much.
For coming to India home and giving such a good, I mean, ज़्यादा ज्ञान बोलना चाहूंगी, like हम लोगों को, like जो भी आपने explain किया वो बहुत ही बढ़िया था. I hope all of
एक्चुअली क्या है, सब लोगों को पता नहीं था ना कि मैं क्या बोलने वाला हूँ, क्योंकि आयुर्वेद के लोग आते हैं ना, वो मतलब अपनी आयुर्वेद के जब छोटे बच्चे थे हम भी, तो अपनी बड़ाई करने के लिए वेस्टर्न ऑडियंस के लिए फैंसी फैंसी शब्द लेके आते हैं बड़े अच्छे अच्छे से ना, उसमें ऐसे ऐसे मॉडर्न। अब ये जो आपको बताऊंगा ना, जितने भी कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट होंगे सारे, ये सब भारत के जो हिंदी के साहित्य था उसको अंग्रेजी में करके इन्होंने बड़े अच्छे अच्छे अंग्रेजी नाम बना लिए इनके। इंट्रावेस्कुलर बना लिया, एक्स्ट्रा सेलुलर बना लिया, ये सब हिंदी के शब्दों को अंग्रेजी जामा पहना के। और वो अब चक्कर पता है कि हम भारतीय लोगों को अंग्रेजी बड़ी अच्छी लगती है, तो सब अंग्रेजी में सुना ना हमने, तो जितना अंग्रेजी ज्यादा बढ़िया बोलेगा और ऐसे अक्षर बोलेगा जो फिर समझ में नहीं आएंगे, उतना बड़ा आदमी लगेगा।
राइट।
जो समझ में ना आए, हमें बोलेगा ना इतनी अच्छी इंग्लिश और हमें समझ नहीं आएगी, हम सोचेंगे यार हम ही छोटे हैं, बहुत बड़ा होगा, और पता नहीं वो क्या बोल रहा होगा।
नहीं, बहुत ही अच्छे, आई मीन जनरल आम आदमी के शब्दों से आपने एक्सप्लेन किया. बहुत ही बढ़िया था. Thank you so much. Definitely, like we'll get back to you like for more presentations. Thank you so much, Dr. Naveen ji. And
Thank you.